everybody, welcome to the studio. Today I'm going to paint a small study, a square one, 8 inches by 8 inches, of a piece of marshy ground in Washington State in the USA. It's called Oaks Bottom Nature Reserve, and it's a marvellous blossom of firefly weed. Okay, let's get started. Today I'm going to use a dry monochrome blocking. You'll see what that is as I'm working. I've chosen violet as the base colour for the monochrome, and the reason for this is because it goes really well under both the cool pink that I'll be using and the greens. The bits of spare space that I leave with the violet showing through will really make the greens and the pink sing. As you can see, I'm working first of all into the light areas. We're now on to the final stage of the blocking, and I'm using a small piece of pipe insulation cut from a larger piece, and I'm smoothing and pressing the pigment into the tooth of the sandpaper, and so we'll get a lovely surface on which to work for when we paint the layers over the blocking. That's the block-in finished. It's just 3 tones of violet just to give me a rough idea where the main shapes in the painting are. I've decided to make the sky rather more turquoise than is in the reference. Why have I done that? Well, I just fancy using a bit of turquoise, and I'm a painter, so I can do that if I want to. In this lower part of the sky, the very light part, I'm going to use the light paint to cut into the tops of the tree line. Now, I'm not going to copy the reference because that's fairly straight, so I'm going to make it rather more interesting. I've got to be careful that I don't get shapes that are too much the same size or too much the same shape in this tree line. So I work by cutting in or negative painting, and then I'll finish off when I go into the green in the trees. I'm going to get some green on now. I'm going to simplify things to begin with by just using 3 greens. A dark green, a mid green and a lighter one, all in the warm green family. Okay, let's review where we're up to now. We started off with an underpainting in monochrome, a violet, and then since then I've done a complete block in where I've got colour over the whole of the picture area. So that's the middle stage of the work, and now the final stage is we refine over the block in and bring the study to a conclusion. I want to take a look at the water now, and we started off with an approximation, a mid-tone in the turquoise blue because of the sky colour, but I think I definitely want some lighter turquoise in places, so I think we'll try a little bit there. Go for a bit lighter water there and here, and then we'll get some light going in that area. And yeah, I think a bit here. We also want to break up some of this this bank a little bit as well. So although in the reference photo there isn't any blue in the water as such, I think I'd like to introduce some blue in down here. So this is an ultramarine, and we'll add a bit of blue in to this part, and then bring it down a bit darker down here. Why I want to make sure that that happens is because if we have the light colours coming right down to this bottom edge of the painting, then the water will tend to fall out of the bottom. So I think I'd like a bit more of this dark to go across here a bit. And we'll get a bit more of these shadows in here, not the shadows, the reflections. So we've got some more dark reflections in there. Okay, and this area, I think I'm going to add even more light to give us a bit of a little bit, but this far back. The downstrokes tend to work better in the foreground. If you do downstrokes in the background, it tends to leap forward a bit. Let's again come in here a bit with a little bit of more dark, and here it's quite a good idea when we get here into this foreground is to just have a small number of horizontal details, and let the light catch the water a little bit in places. Don't want to do it too much, and then again, let's get some dark in there. I think we might have a bit of dark up there. So one of the things about water is that it's very easy if you start off painting the water at the beginning to start to look for masses and masses of detail in it, and that is not a good way when you're painting in a very loose impressionist style like this study is. It's not a good way to represent your water, to have it in with masses and masses of detail. So if you get the water blocked in and then leave it more to the end, you can get the effect of water with a minimum number of marks. And so I think we can now, having introduced blue there, it's a really good idea, although there's no blue whatsoever in the reference, is to just have a little bit of blue in other places in the painting. It's not a good idea to have a colour in just one sort of place. So that's a good idea. And now I think let's review what we've got. Compared to the reference, I've got a more interesting tree line there along the tops of the trees, and I've introduced a little bit more light into the trees. I've introduced a bit more texture into the fireweed areas than was in the reference. I've changed the shape of the watercourse a little bit, so that's a quick study. What I'm going to do now is, if I can find, which I can, a clip. I am going to show you what it looks like with a mount round it, or a mat round it if you're from the other side of the Atlantic. So if we get the
the mat in there, or mount. So that's the finished study, and it's okay for a half an hour study. So thanks very much for being with me. I hope you'll join me next time. I've really enjoyed painting this with you.